and gentlemen, greetings and hello. We have a discussion video for us today. I hosted a public session yesterday. It got a little out of control for my personal tastes, but it was admittedly fun being social. And that can be hard because being social can be hard, and so you have to join a public instance, but there's not always very many of those, and then you're worried, are you crowding in on something that's already happening, but it's a public session, so of course you're not. And it can be hard joining in on a friend if you're in kind of an iffy mood state. So I just had my world public, and then a friend joined, and then more friends joined onto them, and it turned into just kind of like a party. And some weapons got spawned out, and it was loud noises. I got overwhelmed, so I went off to the corner of my world and filmed a little bit of a video, because that's one of the things that I like to do when I get overwhelmed, actually. But during that, I had a couple of interesting points, I think, about moderation and about public instances. Because I think being social more frequently would be good for me, but that does come with a lot of caveats. One of the discourses, well actually, hang on. I'm going to roll what I said last night. It's about 2 minutes of just kind of little babble or whatever. So 2 minutes and then we'll come back. So I'm hosting a public world right now in Resonite, and I was going to treat myself seriously and get ready to film for tomorrow morning because all I do is work these days. And I caught myself being a little overwhelmed with all of the social stimulus and a lot of the noises, and I had to I put someone into spectator mode because their weapon was loud. It was too bad because they're just having fun, but it's also please stop. Which is neither here nor there, but just moderation in a public instance is just something that you have to get used to. As far as both being in a public session, but then also being the one who's hosting it. Because you can meet some pretty cool people around here. I've made wonderful connections here. And it doesn't feel good being isolated all of the time, and I usually isolate myself because I got caught thinking about Brain in a Jar, who I know from meditation group, who I didn't kick out, but that's the person I booted into spectator because their thing was really loud, and I asked them to stop, but they kept doing their thing. The only problem there is I didn't have a rule set, so that wasn't an expectation of hey, by the way, let's not do weapons. This is not a combat world. If I want to have it open to the public, but then if I want to have rules about what you can do here because it's public, then that's something that's just good to do. That's good practice. And I hadn't done that. I did this the first time I've ever really had people over practically. So I guess I'm figuring it out. And thank you, Finneas, for filling us in. How appreciative we all are. Now, before we continue, this is a discourse that you will run into during your times in Resonite. And something that you'll see people throw out pretty frequently is this social meter right here. People will spawn this out, and they'll also often have conversations about how not many people online are being active. And if I understand correctly, this is the percent of people in all of Resonite who are either in a public session or at least in a Contacts Plus session. So I don't remember exactly what it's categorized. Let me figure that out. This is nice and flat, tidy flux. You'll love to see it. Alright, so we'll just spin this around to you guys real fast. Don't know how well you can read that or not. I'll just give you a quick rundown of how this thing works, which I just barely figured out. It takes users visible in public sessions, as well as users in semi-accessible sessions, which is going to have to be Contacts or Contacts Plus. Divides that by all present users, and that's how the bar works. The investigation that makes me want to bring this up more is these are not Flux nodes on their own. For those who don't know, those are sources, and you can read that up top. And I was curious what information it was looking at, so you can press this little button, this little over-up arrow, which spawns the inspector at the location of wherever that source is coming from. It pulls up this thing, which it is pointing to online statistics, right up there. And it's just kind of neat to know that online statistics is now a component, so I'm going to look around and see if there's anything interesting there. Oh, whoa! This is actually kind of cool. Let me show you. And then we'll get back to public sessions and hosting and moderating. I got distracted. Resonite happened. And then fun fact, because I just want to look at this component, I don't need the whole inspector, I'm going to pull it out by grabbing the component title and pressing the primary input. And that brings out a mini inspector window just of the component. This is kind of fun. You can see how many hidden sessions there are, public sessions. So why would you make a hidden public session? How does that work? Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I come to you from a pillow fort. I decided to look into this question and I actually really like what I found, so here's information. A hidden world just means that the information to join the world is not broadcast anywhere, so no one can look up your world. But the invite information does still exist, so you can send an invite to someone, or if there's an existing world link, people can join it. So a hidden public session could have certain odd use cases. For instance, if I wanted to spawn a one-off Discord server for like my followers, like we're going to meet up, here's the world for us to join. You could do a hidden public session and link that very particular session URL in your Discord server. So anyone on the server can just automatically join, but only people with access to that very specific join link are able to join. It's moderated, you don't have to worry about it, and only certain, like, very specific groups of people have access to it. That's what a hidden public world would be. And from within Resonite, that could look like a session orb. And I might actually have use for that in my own endeavors, because I have my personal little world, but I like doing a lot of film studio stuff. And I want my public world to be a little bit more, like, people can have a little bit more fun, it's more loose, but when I'm filming, I want to have more restrictions, and people can be more respectful of that space. But if I only have one world, that's really messy to do. What I might do is make a hidden public world and link the world orb only in my normal public world. And that would be my workshop. Or I do tons of video work, so if you go to my public world, you could then go to like where my workshop is, where Finneas is filming something, and then if you join that, it's a different world. It would still be thematically linked, I suppose, but that's a reason that it would be useful to have a hidden public session in a world orb, although admittedly probably like a Discord join link is a more applicable reason that you would want to do a hidden public world. It's extraordinarily niche. You probably won't ever be in a use case where it's a useful thing to do, but it does technically exist. And now let's get back to the video. And then shout out to these people on the Resonite Discord who gave me the information to start the investigations of my own to bring this information to you, in particular Yosh with the world orb thing. And then also Jack, who came in with a hot, immediate answer for me right when I asked, gave some more information about the URLs as well. So thank you, Jack. Contacts Plus session, and that one you'll see really frequently. So if you are contacts with the host, you can join their world automatically. That's a contacts-only world, but Contacts Plus means that if one of your friends is in that world, you're just going to see them as a Contacts Plus world that they're in. You don't see which one it is, though. But you can ask for an invite, and then they can automatically, like, they can invite people or accept requests, but you can automatically join if you are friends with the host directly, and that's Contacts Plus. It's interesting to know that there are right now 35 hidden Contacts Plus sessions. And then down here in this group, active visible sessions, private sessions, 9. I think that might be me. I don't know if mine is hidden or invisible. Do people see where I'm at? And then I don't actually even know how that works. But that's me. I'm in a private session right now because I'm filming. I'm working. And so some of the discourse you hear about the social levels in Resonite, it's kind of a complicated discussion. So I'm going to go back to like being big and then we'll talk about it. And we're just going to keep this little bar up as kind of like a fun little prop because we're going to spend some time talking about this. And the reason I went through any of that is because one of the discourses you will hear about while you're in Resonite is people talking about how there's not really anybody on the platform. And sure enough, if I had pulled out that thing and paid closer attention, there was something like 35 hidden Contacts Plus worlds and only like 19 that were not hidden, and even for those, you have to be contacts with people in order to even see that those sessions are going on. There's one argument to make, which I'm making first. I started the video with it, and then we'll come back to it at the end. But I'm working right now. I do a lot of video work, and so if people join me, Resonite will happen, and then nothing will happen because I'll just be hanging out, and we'll be doing things together. That's how Resonite works. It's a lot of fun. But other times people are working on games. This is a first-person development engine is one way to think about it. So it makes sense to be in private sessions or like build sessions that you want to keep contained. You know, that makes a lot of sense. The interesting thing is pretty much everybody bemoans this. Nobody likes, and right now the social level is 59%. That's actually pretty good. Anytime it's above 50, that's a pretty good Resonite day because often people, like we just saw, are in hidden sessions, or at least Contacts Plus, etc. The reason I'm bringing this up, and this is just a discussion topic, because I have no idea if there's a solution, what the solution is, and what I propose is not an easy thing to do, which is again why I rolled the clips not too long ago. Because operating a world which is hidden reduces, I don't actually know the hidden thing. I don't love the hidden thing. I don't know. It's just when you want privacy with your friends, I suppose, which is understandable. But a lot of these antisocial levels or what have you, is because it operates as an automatic moderation tool. Because I hosted my own public session yesterday, it was unmoderated because I was the only person in charge of deciding what culture I wanted in my world, and I was not moderating it. It got to be loud, a little more chaotic than I care for my worlds to be, and my own world had turned into an uncomfortable place for me. In this instance, it makes sense to go to only my contacts can join in on my world, because those are people who I know I'd be chill hanging out with. I like having conversations and like long discussions and less so spawning out toys, which is also a big culture, and that's fine. That's fun stuff to do. But I don't like being isolated all of the time. Some of the best people I know are people I've met on Resonite, and I don't want to wall myself off to the opportunity to learn more because I'm feeling, not quite social, but a lot of that is because I want a particular vibe that's hard to cultivate. And I think the answer to wanting more public sessions or to make more friends is not only to just say, then only go to public sessions or only host your sessions when they're open, because it is actually a lot more challenging than only doing that. It was really uncomfy to realize that my world had gotten too chaotic for myself, but if I wanted it to be open, it is up to me to help instill that culture. But I don't want to have to tell anybody what to do or what not to do. That's a really strong stance to have to take. And I think having like a little board of like rules where like, hey, I'm just hanging out, here's what's going on. You can be here too, but you have to I don't know. It's a learning process even just for myself as I'm trying to be more social and Resonite. And that's the journey that I just thought was interesting to talk about for a little bit. And I was bringing up a note for myself for my own personal Resonite journey. For a long time, I wanted to learn how to build things and tear things apart, which I was just barely able to do to figure out how this thing works and learn about a new component, and that was kind of fun. But the next thing I'm working on is how to be a little bit more social and make more connections and be more part of the community and take more active steps to help shape it into what I would like it to be, rather than just doing things like spawning out this and then talking about it, which is something that you'll run into. And I'm just trying to figure out what it looks like to be part of what I want it to be. As far as I can tell, it just is going to take a little bit of a firm, like letting people know the rules of engagement ahead of time. But I think maybe when I open up a session to the public, then what I want to come from it and be a little bit more active about that. I don't know though, it's all just conjecture, and there's not like a solution, and maybe there's not even a problem, I don't know. But I realized I had a really hard time moderating a public instance of my own last night, and that's a problem that a lot of people must be having, and I just wanted to talk about it for a second, because it's an interesting thing to talk about. It's a big fact of Resonite. There's not many public sessions, so if you want public sessions, you want to meet people, hosting public sessions could be important to do, although not everyone just joins on public sessions. That's like a total gamble there. And then you're also gambling on the people who show up. Are you going to get along or not to just some stranger from the internet? And not all of them were strangers. Brain in a jar is a friend, like I know them. And so it was really awkward moderating them away from like their weapon when I hadn't even set that rule. Like that just felt so bad to me. And maybe I just wanted to share my, how that felt for me. So then someone else maybe doesn't have to go through that same thing. Let people know ahead of time. Maybe, I don't know. I got no clue what I'm talking about here. But that's some food for thought, I suppose. And some of that, I think, is I would like to get to the point where I'm comfortable doing more of these in public sessions. But I don't even know. I don't even know because I want to focus on video work, but Resonite is multiplayer. It's more fun when you allow it to be multiplayer, and I really enjoy being exposed to the new ideas that come about from it. But that's it, just a discussion video. We had a little bit of Resonite, we had a little bit of Protoflux and component investigation. We had a little bit of a vlog in the moment when I got overwhelmed, and we talked about it. We talked about social levels, which is now just more things that we all know. And it's something to be thinking about the culture of Resonite and how to shift your own personal culture, which is not even something that I know. I'm trying to figure out what that's like. And I wanted to pay respect to the fact that it is a hard thing to figure out how to do. And then before I sign off, if anyone out there has additional thoughts, ideas of things that I missed, what to do about it, and I know going to events is a great way to meet people and be more social and Resonite. But as far as hosting public, if you have hacks or tips, like I got no idea. If you have perspective, leave it in the comments. Let us know, because I think a discussion is a good thing to have. But that's it. That's it. I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk with you guys soon.